Hey there, welcome back to another educational fun video with myself, Jessica Benge, and my friend David Moyer from Keller Williams. And today we wanted to talk about something we've been seeing a little bit in the market, something we've been hearing about from our clients. Prices of homes keep going up, whether it's rapidly or just a little bit. And people start doing their research and they think, "Ooh, I know how to get into a home. I'm going to buy an exponentially cheaper home, and I'm going to do that by finding one that needs to be fixed up." And David is an expert on this because not only does he remodel his own house, but he advises clients around this. And I, of course, know a little bit about the loan side. David, walk us through. Do they want to buy a fixer-upper?
I think that it's a double-edged sword. So I think everybody goes into it with really good intentions because they think I can save a lot of money on the mortgage side of things and get in there and get my hands a little bit dirty, or I've got a friend that can help me out, a contractor friend, and we can really fix these things up. And it's good to know exactly what your budget is first before you ever start this project. So
Mhm.
if you're working with cash reserves and that's the way you're going to go in terms of your renovations, know that in advance. Know what your budget is, and talk to your real estate agent about that, because I can go over what the national averages are for a lot of these things. And as you go through the house, determine, are you concerned more about, what are you comfortable changing? Are you comfortable changing the cosmetics? Or are you also comfortable changing things that are the internal, like the mechanicals? Because if you're purchasing a home that is heavily discounted because it maybe has not had any sort of cosmetic upgrades over the past 40, 50 years, there's some great value to be had there. But maybe, the HVAC system and the roof, they're all updated. We see these a lot with estate sales. We see these with an older generation that definitely took care of their homes in terms of the mechanicals, kept the HVAC systems current and the roofs and everything, but maybe they didn't change the wallpaper they had from 1985, and they still had the shag carpet, and they still had all of this.
Right.
So you could go in there and you could change those cosmetics, and you could, do that for a decent price tag, and you could elevate the value of that property, and put some really good instant sweat equity into that home. Now, on the flip side of things, if you're going into a property that needs a little bit of work cosmetically, but it also needs a furnace that hasn't been replaced in 40 years, and a roof that is 25 years old, and it's a 30-year dimensional shingle roof, and maybe there's some cracks in the foundation, and you're buying a home that's as is or something like that, and these are projects that you're taking on, that's also a fixer-upper. However, that $20,000, $30,000 potentially that you're going to be putting into that house to fix those things up, that's not going to necessarily add to the value of the home at the end of the day in terms of sweat equity the same way it would with all the cosmetic updates.
And by
Um,
sweat equity, you're meaning something someone's going to do themselves that they don't necessarily have to pay for, right? Like they're going to.
Right. Yeah. Sweat equity would be if, let's say, if you were to move into a house and redo the entire kitchen, and the contractor says, I can redo this entire kitchen, cabinets and everything for $50,000. And you were to then go out to Home Depot and, line item out the cabinets, measure for all the countertops, you get all the appliances, and you go, okay, I can buy all of these things for $25,000, and I'm going to teach myself how to install all these and do it myself. It's a big project, but then you save yourself $25,000. Right there would be $25,000 of sweat equity.
Got it. So you're not paying someone labor to do
Yeah.
this work for you. Okay. Okay, great. So a fixer-upper might be something that would work for a handy person, right? Then you could
Yeah.
capitalize on the amount of money that you would save.
Yeah, and for some people there's a lot of value in that. For other people, there's, I'm not, I mean, I am handy with certain things, but I can't remodel everything myself.
Same
So
here.
there's just as much value, right? There's just as much value in me taking my contractor into a house and, letting him bid the project and then hiring him to do it. that there's the same amount of value in that for me.
Got it.
So that there is that. So yeah, that you definitely want to take that into consideration because it's just not what we see on HGTV where they go into the house and they gut it and all of a sudden their house is worth twice as much as it was before. Those shows, I have never seen one that has taken into consideration the cost of mechanicals, the cost of certain appliances, the cost of the things that you don't see. What I call the innards or the ugly side of a house,
Deferred
the not
maintenance.
so
Yeah, things that
yeah.
yeah, that you don't see.
So yeah, you never see one of those renovation shows talk about that. And because of that, I don't think a lot of home buyers really do think about that. But I think here's what's great too. I'll kind of throw it back over to you. If somebody is thinking about, well, this is appealing to me, but I don't have, you know, $30,000 in the bank on top of my down payment that I've been saving and everything like that. I always like to refer people to you for options in terms of how they can do renovations, either during the loan process or maybe after the loan process. What are their options if they wanted to renovate a property or make improvements?
Right. So a renovation loan is my favorite because you can get the most. They're going to base what they're going to give you for the repairs or the upgrades off of the future appraised value. So if you buy a fixer upper and, you know, David tells you if you do this, this, and this, the house is going to be worth this, then you can almost take advantage of all of that David is saying that the house is going to be worth if you're going to do the items that it takes to bring that value to that number. It's a great program. There's a couple different ones. There's a conventional version and an FHA version. The FHA version is good if your home has a lot of deferred maintenance, right? Because as David mentioned, the things that you're going to do to the home don't always add value, and that is important to the loan, right? No lending institution wants to give you a loan higher than what your home's going to be valued for. They want to make sure it's within the value. So you're safe with appraisal, you're safe going forward, you're not going to be underwater. So, yeah, does that answer your question? I love renovation loans.
Yeah, so the renovation loans remind me, does that mean that the all of those bids and everything have to take place during the loan process or how does that work? So they have
Right.
to have the bids in place before they ever close on the house, right?
Right. So different times in the market, these renovation loan proposals are liked or not liked. Meaning, if you're
Hmm.
looking at a home with David and you're like, yeah, we're going to do a renovation loan, and you put an offer in with your pre-approval letter that states that, sometimes the agent's not going to like it because it does take longer to close these loans. And you're correct, David. You do need to have the way I operate to mitigate the pain out on the market, on the street is I like the clients to go through the property with their contractor of choice. He is going to be vetted by us, the loan people. We want to make sure that you're not going to pay money to somebody that's going to run off and not finish the project. So we vet them. And I want a bid in place. And it does have to be in a specific format because you're going to be underwritten. The bid is going to be underwritten, right? You're going to be underwritten, the property is going to be underwritten. And now we have a third piece of underwriting, and that's the renovation piece. But you're correct. You don't need the bid per se. I personally, knowing how thorough I am as a lender, I like my clients to have a bid because sometimes when you get the bid, it's sticker shock and oops,
Yeah.
we don't like this when you actually get the piece of paper with what's going to work out. So does that answer
Right.
your question?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important too, is I do think that it's, and I've always cautioned a lot of my investor clients or, even my first-time home buyers. I get a lot of first-time home buyers that are very aspirational and say that their first home they want to buy a fixer-upper. And I say, great, let's talk about your plan and let's go look at what you consider to be a fixer-upper. And now that we'll go out there and look at a property and I'll say, in this house right now, in the next year, 6 months, what are we looking at doing here? And I'll literally go over with them what that would cost because maybe their only frame of reference is what they saw on HGTV. And that's not necessarily going to equate to what they're going to actually be paying here.
Not
And it can
reality,
be sticker
folks.
shock.
Not
No,
reality.
I mean, even for myself when I remodeled my kitchen, I can guarantee you anybody that's watching this video right now that's remodeled a kitchen has gone over budget every single time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's just important to know. So yeah, having that up front and not just going, oh, we got this. Let's just get the loan. I'm sure we'll be fine. I think that's a really, really smart move. Now, can VA people do this as well? Is there any way for a VA person to do a renovation?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
With VA, which is signifying zero down, and if you're a veteran,
Right.
yes, it can be done. There are reserves typically required, right?
Okay.
So even though you're not going to put any money down, you're going to be underwritten to make sure you have some money in the bank, which most veterans do. A
Yeah.
lot of people buying a home are prepared for that and have a little nest egg.
Yeah.
So that's one of the caveats to that program.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, I think these are great options. I mean, it's in this market where everything is appreciating still at a really good rate. If you're really looking to get a head start on the market as well, finding a nice fixer upper out there is still a really smart game for
Yeah.
sure. So
Yeah, there's
these
definitely
are
a perk to it. I think, and when I'm speaking with people, I'm always asking, well, what's your renovation appetite? Have you ever
mhm.
started a project and you're like, I can't take this anymore. I can't take this
Yeah,
anymore. Right?
yeah. Hmm.
So are they going to move into the home? What's your renovation appetite like? Or can you handle people? Can you handle dust?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing too, is I always tell people, are you gonna be living in this house while you're doing this? What's your situation going to be like? Because I've done it. I can tell you firsthand. I've lived in a house that's been renovated, took 6 months, and I was living in plastic in a
I
small corner
remember
of my house. And so
eating out a
um
lot.
I yeah, that and a tiny little like college microwave in my basement. That's all I had. And my refrigerator was in my foyer. So I mean that's no way to live for 6 months. But these are really great options, especially if you find yourself priced out of a certain market and this is the only option you have to find a way to get a renovation loan. I think it's a great product.
Yep. It can be done.
Yep.
Well, as usual, I'm always learning so much from our calls together, and I'm sure the public is as well. But if you have any questions about renovation loans, renovating your property, making sure you're not over improving, etc., David is your guy. I'm happy to answer questions on the loan side of things, but we're always available. And David, thanks again for your time.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.